So everyone, we are with Steve Coker here, and designer of Dex Dixon, the board game. So I want to start off by saying that this is just absolutely fascinating to me, because this whole universe that you've created has started as an episodic noir serial, right? Yeah. And then you wrote a film script based on that, which turned into a musical that hit production, and now is a board game. Yeah. So it's a fantastic evolution, and I'm very intrigued to hear your story about all this.
I only had one idea ever, and so no.
But it worked out really well.
Thank you.
Really good
yeah,
one,
no.
So.
The strange thing about this whole evolution is I wasn't really a game player to begin with. I did talk a little bit this morning about the launch. I had some friends who stopped drinking, and so they're like, well, we got rid of that addiction, so what's next? And it was Magic the Gathering.
Okay.
And so if I wanted to hang out with them, I had to drink copious amounts of coffee and learn to play this game, which until then I thought was so stupid. Just the idea of it. And I played D&D and stuff when I was younger. I just didn't get into it. And so it only took me playing some of their decks and getting just destroyed before the competitive nature of me decided that I needed to go home and spend money and time building decks to destroy those decks. They played against me, and I don't know that they ever played those decks again, so but then I was hooked in it. But I still didn't really get into the game hobby until very recently. And I had been a theater major in college, so I was acting in musicals. And yeah, I recognized you right away.
You all have a similar look.
We do. Spot us a mile away.
And then after that, I went to film school when I got laid off as a restaurant manager in 2008. And so I was like, I'll go to film school. And while I was there, started writing screenplays and things like that. And one day we were talking about Star Trek. It seems unrelated, but it is. And somebody said, "What?" We were talking about Picard's noir character, who is Dixon Hill, right?
Oh yeah,
okay. Yeah. Okay. And so I was saying, "Oh, I love his Dex Dixon character," and I kept saying that. And my buddy goes, "Well, who the hell is Dex Dixon?" and then I had to have a smart ass answer. I was like, he's the coolest detective. He's way cooler than Dixon Hill, And so the kind of the character was born, and I've always kind of loved those bumbling, kind of foolish characters that are, solve mysteries quite by accident, and that kind of thing. And I thought,
these two right here, if you listen to last week's game review, that is them. They figured out, what game were you playing?
Chronicles of Crime.
Yeah, Chronicles of Crime behind us. They're playing it and reviewing it. They only figured out because they made mistakes.
We were 90% accurate in our solution. We don't know how.
Yeah, we had the right thing, but how we got to it was
yes. Yeah.
I don't think Inspector Clouseau could have done it better.
Yeah. I just always have loved those kind of buffoonish characters. And also I came up with the tagline, The Adventures of Dex Dixon, Paranormal Dick, the guy you call when the average dick won't do. And
I appreciate all of that.
Thank you. Now, of course, in the board game world, we've toned it way down. We don't have a lot of the innuendo, but if you, and I know that you watched the 10-minute proof of concept, lots of innuendo in that. And I ended up playing the character because I didn't want to pay anybody to do it. I wasn't ever intending on doing it, and I told a friend of mine to come up from California to direct it so he would keep me on the humble.
Yeah.
And like after the first take, he's like, dude, you should always play this character. So, that was on me. But I have not been able to get away from him since then. So after that proof of concept went out, a couple of companies reached out to me about possibly making it. But I never wanted to give up the rights, and I didn't know then why, but I just knew that something told me that Dex Dixon was going to be my retirement plan one way or the other. So I hung on to it, but then we made a musical of it, and we are going to do it again next year. I think we wrote some new music based on that production, and it'll be fun to see. I secretly can share some stuff with you guys later. But the woke up one morning after buying a 3D printer and thinking to myself, oh, I should print all the characters from Dex Dixon on Hero Forge. I could make them all, and I was just bored, right? And then I started printing them, and then of course I'm like, well, what am I going to use these for? A game. And that's where it all started. Now, of course, you'll notice there are no minis in the game at this point. Many of the things that were from the film and the script that I thought were going to be huge in the mechanics and all that stuff have since disappeared because it's such a different entity. And how it was developed. So that's the very short story of how the game kind of came to be. Now I have 2 gigantic shelves filled with games, and don't get to play
only 2. Only.
Yeah, I see that. But mine are turned sideways, so
Oh no, yeah, and stack.
Yeah, there's another shelf over there.
2.
Of course,
yes.
I'm definitely, I look at them sometimes with a little bit of guilt, about that. And
you can't feel guilt. It's like having a whole beautiful set of books. You can't feel guilty. They bring
true.
you pleasure.
They are kind of a collection, of things, and I'm looking at them. And my 2 lightsabers. Let's not talk about that.
Oh yes,
I approve the lightsabers all the way.
Thank you. That's convention problems. That's going to game conventions, and then
the question is, does he have some really cool swords from some famous movies like we do? Probably not.
No, I mean those are.
Let me pull out my swords for you, and I mean that as a non-innuendo because I'm a female.
Well, Dex would hear it as one.
He would.
Sure.
Yeah.
See, if you watch the video of us with John Garcia, PJ told me I was supposed to apologize as soon as the recording started, and I refused because Angie, Dan's girlfriend, and one of my best friends, we were making jokes about his balls because it's a table flicking game.
Golf game, yeah.
I just kept saying,
I would rather you didn't say balls and flick in the same sentence.
That's true. Yeah,
that's just me.
Yes.
I don't like it either, but
well, I told him I played with his balls the entire time of our Zoom.
Nice.
Yes. So trust me, I like innuendo.
Good.
That's what I'm here for. Just like Angie.
Yep.
Angie can't be here this week because her daughter is doing county band, right?
County band, yeah.
So
nice.
She's too cool.
So I think I answered your question. I don't know if I missed part 2.
Yes, you absolutely did.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, my question was, were you a theater major because of just the growth of this really kind of beautiful concept? But you answered that already. Because it's like, how do you go from a concept to a musical? Like that to me is like theatrical. Yeah. And Dan's a theater major. I was, but for where I work, I was the virtuoso director for a couple of years. Went on maternity leave and haven't gone back, but we actually got engaged on stage.
Yep.
So
nice.
Theater is a big thing for all of us. Which is
That's
nice.
very cool. Well, I just recently got back into it too. Here in town, I'd been acting around just for fun. I have my own theater company, which I shared a link with.
Yeah.
You guys. It mostly does parody and homage. But I've been just recently been hired to direct. Flip those around. Some main stage shows here in Portland, and I just got done directing Little Shop of Horrors.
Love it.
About to direct the Full Monty, so that's I was also cast in that before I was offered the directorship, so I'm still going to be in it, which will be interesting. And a lot of the people at the bakery want to come see the show, but I'm afraid that they'll have no respect for me after that.
It comes with the territory.
Yeah.
We have zero respect for Dan, but
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I mean,
I recognize you.
Yeah. I got the nickname for my was at the end of my freshman year of college of Naked Dan. As I was the second Dan in college history to do a show naked.
Nice. But so was proud. It required, or is it just something you added?
No, it was something the director required, who was the original Naked Dan. So I was like, you know what? Why not? You do that now. I don't care. I can do just about anything.
Nice.
So what led you to musical rather than just a straight comedy for this? Any particular reason, one way or the other?
Ego.
Good enough answer.
That question has come to me before when I was in college, and they're like, "Why are you doing all the musicals, man?" I'm like, "Do you know how many heterosexual males are in musicals? So few, dude. And do you know how many heterosexual women are in musicals?" I'm not an idiot. I'm still single. Let's not talk about it. I just haven't found that great game lady. Congratulations.
That's right.
Gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, it's actually an ongoing joke that when we got engaged, we've been dating for years actually. And we were in college at the time, all of us. And I was working at Dollar General here in Millville. And our friend from high school comes in and he goes, "Hey, congratulations on your engagement. I heard you guys got engaged." And I go, "Yeah, thanks." He's like, "Yeah, so how's Dan doing?" And I go, "Dan's fine. Why do you ask?" "Well, you guys just got engaged." And I'm like, to PJ.
Yeah.
Engaged. "I thought you were dating. Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yes."
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure I got engaged to PJ.
Yeah.
So we got engaged on stage. Like, "Well, Dan's in theater." I'm like, "Give it." So is PJ. I'm really confused. So for years he was my fiance, and this is my actual husband.
Yep.
That's brilliant. And you guys are still talking. It's wonderful.
I know.
Yeah. As you can see, we don't let a woman get between us.
No.
I was Dan's friend first. Actually, I let PJ get between me and Dan.
That's true.
That's what she says. That's what she says.
Man, so many of these questions, like we already got through.
Already done.
Yeah,
That's okay.
That's great. That's
So
great.
when it
I'm
comes
good at
to
repeating myself, so whatever.
But when it comes to like playing board games, because I've played a whole bunch thanks to these guys. PJ yells at me. I'm not in like I get involved in board games, then I just kind of like fizzle out because I'm so busy right now. I'm working on my PhD and everything, and I'm a teacher, right? So summertime is board game time for me, really. But all the different games that we have played that I have kind of been involved with, I have my particular favorites. What is your type of game that you're drawn to?
It's interestingly enough, right now I've been just in love with Dice Thrones. And
I want to play that.
Yeah, and the reason I love it is there's a couple of things. One is that you can get it to the table pretty quick and play just a quick 20-minute skirmish with a friend. All of the components are gorgeous. I'm really leaning towards going with E-Star as my manufacturer because they're the ones that make that game and Radlands and a couple of other really beautiful games. Spend a little bit extra money to have that kind of quality, I love that game. I do love skirmish games. The Wonderland War just came out, and that's super fun too. I like some of that area placement and bag building and that sort of stuff. So
another game I really want to play.
It's really, really good. It's really good. And then recently too, Arkham Horror. So a lot of games that have a lot of I was seeing it right behind you.
Yeah.
And a lot of those kind of games are, to me, just really fun. So you'll see card play in my game is a huge factor. That comes from Magic the Gathering, and that comes from Ascension. That comes from a lot of those kind of games. I just like having dynamic card play that can just especially when you can kind of first in last out some stuff, so you're canceling their thing and they cancel your thing and then you cancel theirs and then they had just one more cancel. That stuff gets me going. Anything that can generate a lot of trash talk, that's half the fun of this is that engagement with your friends. So, and I also really like asymmetrical powers and things like that. So the cards help with that, but then characters that are unique and have their own powers, and having such a rich IP for this, and probably not just the script, but years and years of thinking about the lore behind the Dexiverse, as we've called it. It was really easy for me to create the bosses and give them powers that made sense in that world, So that was fun, and coming up with terms that were film noir-esque, as in playing Magic and all that. Exactly, yeah. When you're playing Magic, you can tap something, but you can't use tap.
Yeah,
because that term is used. So we put our cards on ice. You know, and there's an exchange way. We use PowerPoints to pay for cards and put them into play. And those PowerPoints, the only way you can get them is either is to pawn or fence another card. So from your hand, you could fence a card and get the PowerPoints equal to the amount that it costs to play it. And if it's in play, you can flip it over, not phase, flip it over. I don't have a clever name for that one, okay? Yeah. And then you have 3 turns to pay that back. You get half the PowerPoints that it costs to put it into play. You know, like when you brought your guitar to the pawn shop to buy your mom a birthday gift. You have to get it back, and you know, but you don't get the value of it. So I just thought those were really fun ways to use the terminology from the I love theme, okay? A lot of people give people crap about it, but theme is huge for me, and I'll buy a game based on theme, even if the gameplay isn't super awesome. I just bought Starship Captains because I love Star Trek. You know,
nice.
And it's not Star Trek, okay? They tell you that, right?
Yeah.
Star Trek. But it thematically has that look and flavor, and so I'm gonna, it's not as dynamic a gameplay kind of game, but that theme keeps me in. So this is why.
Yep.
Nice.
So when you were working on the game and everything, did you obviously had the story from the musical and everything in your mind. Does the game have any of those story elements in it, or is this a whole separate thing?
I mean, there are definitely Easter eggs if you know the story or any of it, which nobody does. Yeah. But if you do, but if you did, you know, there's some fun things. There's in the musical and in the movie, Dex has he sees Delilah after not seeing her for 10 years, and so she's a 300-year-old torch song singing vampire, and he's stayed away because she's bitten him twice, and he's afraid of losing his mortality. But this case he's on in the movie / musical brings him back to Nightside, and he pulls out a flask that she gave him, and she pulls out a cigarette case that he gave her. And so each of those are actually cards in the equipment group. And I think on the cigarette case, it says "To Delilah, Love Dex" on the image. So it's just like some of those kind of things are in there, you know.
Cool.
That's really neat. I really I love the whole noir aspect when it comes to this kind of stuff. Film noir is my favorite. I've been trying to dabble in it for years, and I just never had anything concrete to go on. Even like trying to write my own stuff. So seeing this in board game form is just so fun. As soon as PJ told us that your game was coming out and that we were going to have the interview, I've been as giddy as a schoolgirl the entire night. Like, this is so great. So cool. I'm really excited to see this. Now, he's already told me, oh yeah, I already backed it. So that's awesome. I'm broke.
Thank you.
Yeah, PJ's number 13.
Backer
Hopefully
13,
it's lucky number 13, because we don't need any more bad luck, as I'm wearing a mask right now. No more bad luck.
When I get my paycheck next week, I'm gonna throw my cash in to get one myself.
More than 2 cents, right?
More than 2 cents.
He needs more than 2 cents.
It's a little more than 2 cents, but we tried to keep it, I was just doing a little video on the boxing of this thing. I'm going to show you guys really quick. So when we first started doing this, our first prototype, this is how big the box is. Hello.
Ooh, so pretty.
When Cole, the artist, told me he was working on the artwork for this, as he was sending it to me, he said, "It's a masterpiece." And when I got it, it's
so cool.
It's really cool.
But this is a non-standard box size that I ordered from the prototypers that actually happen to be in Vancouver, Washington, here, very, very close. They do a lot of tokens and things. So this was an $85 box, just the box. And everything inside of it was another 100 and something. But we realized as we went on that maybe we needed just a little bit bigger box. So now we have this. Can't really tell the difference unless I do one of these numbers, but taking into consideration expansions and sleeves and all of the things that, as I started playing games, I realized, I just bought this expansion, I can't fit it in my game board.
Yeah, and that's really cool. We've been noticing a lot of the games that he's been getting, they do start accounting for that, and that's the ones. Those are the ones that you usually pay a more premium price for. And we've also noticed the ones that you still pay a decent amount for, and then you look at it and you go, well, they didn't really think ahead, did they?
Well, and we're kind of nitpicky too about like when you box things, like your tiles and stuff. Like if there's not a space and there's like no plastic dividers, that's an annoyance for me. I don't like hearing things shaking around inside boxes.
If the game is worth it, I'll deal with like Stonemayor games, for example, or like Scythe and all that, and
those are great.
Wingspan and them. Like they don't really have inserts, but the games are good enough that I forgive it.
We 3D print things to put them in.
Yeah, sure, that makes sense. Yeah, I buy a lot of plastic like
baggies,
tackle boxes,
yeah.
You know, to put things in for sure. But yeah, I definitely learned a lot while we were developing this about games and about tokens. And I had these ideas. I had pegboards at one point. You put your points and you have pegboards. And because I had the original Dark Tower game from like the 80s, and it was all pegs and cardboard stuff. And my artist slash he's also a game designer, and he would just look at me and go, no. You need tokens, man. You need tokens. So then we would create tokens, you know. So and I initially, he and I were friends. He was a barista at a place that I used to go and just have coffee. And then he started doing like posters for our theater pieces and stuff. But I had no idea he was also a game designer. So when I kind of talked to him about this and said, hey, you want to do the artwork? I said, hey, do you want to partner up with me and split? And he goes, no, I need you to buy the art. So I said, and then, and he said, he goes, I'm not going to, he's very reasonable. He's very quick. And you can see the quality of the work. He said, you'll own it then, and you can do with it as you will, and there won't be any weirdness. So I wouldn't say there wasn't, there's always some weirdness, but it's never been about arguing about artwork. Let's just say,
that comes with theater major, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. But he just recently moved away, but we would get together a couple times a week and play games in person. And we just recorded a 2-person tabletop simulator Dex Dixon game today that we'll be posting as I think our first update today.
I'm excited to see that.
Yeah. And if you have access to tabletop simulator, go play it. And if you guys want to play, let me know, and I'll play with you.
Nice. I haven't played TTS in a long time.
I haven't played it since I was in Los Angeles. So
we're talking and I taught you Gloomhaven.
That's right. That's how you taught me Gloomhaven. So
Cole was saying to me that our TTS version of the game is prettier than a lot of like the bigger companies' games too. Like I'm kind of anal, and I'm kind of an attention to detail perfectionist guy. And so I want everything to be like, there's a double board on the thing. So there's, hundreds of spaces. I put a lock point on every single one of them.
Oh my gosh.
So that when you put your mini on there or whatever that's in the thing, it goes right where it goes.
I like to see.
I love it.
That's the attention to detail that always makes it better to play.
That forethought.
It's those little things.
Yeah. Now if I could just learn how to control the camera, I'll be in there.
Yeah, right.
I still haven't figured that
out. First thing I got used to was like using the shortcuts to get different camera angles saved.
Oh yeah. I'm definitely hitting shift 1, shift 3.
Yeah.
That's right.
So in terms of gameplay, and I'm sure your friend Cole like helped you out with a lot, but how did you come up with the idea of just all these different play styles in one game rather than a scenario-based game? You could have just said it's a campaign game, it's co-op, you go through a story, but instead you mix it up every scenario. Like, so where did that all come from? Just being a storyteller.
Okay. Before I saw Jaws of the Lion, I was already thinking about how can I tell this story in a booklet format. When I saw that, I was like, oh, so just know that I'm already thinking about Dex Dixon and the Amazon Princess as a game that you would add to your core game. You would just need the core game elements like you do with Final Girl or something like that. You would use those elements that you already have with the core game to then just start telling the story, and each page is another chapter that tells an actual narrative. So when I was thinking about scenarios, I was thinking, of course, you're like, oh, you got your your basic skirmish, kill or be killed kind of thing. You've also got, you know, run around and grab, you know, quest for tokens, things like that. But I started kind of building in storylines. Like we have 4 artifacts that are, well, 3 crowns and a grail. And I started thinking, oh, it'd be really cool to do like a quest to pick up these artifacts and activate them, and whoever gets 3 of the 4 activated and in their possession first wins the scenario. And we call that one It's Good to Be the King, right? So and I just, you know, I would just start thinking about what are kind of the fun things to do, you know, what are kind of some fun games to play. I honestly, you know, I kind of ripped off a Zombicide one for one of the solo variants.
Okay.
Because, you know, these are games that we all love playing, so some of that familiarity I think is very helpful.
Yeah.
I also, somebody kept saying to me, oh, the board looks like Clue. It looks like Clue. And I thought, I said, I could create a scenario variant of Clue with this. There's weapons, there's locations, there are characters. And I haven't done it yet, but it's, you know, it's like, yeah, we could do all that kind of stuff. You know, that's kind of fun. But I also wanted to encourage people. I wanted to give them something that was sandbox, that you have all these characters, you have 26 mugs that you can hire, different mugs. All of them have different asymmetrical powers. So every time you play the game and you use a different combination, then add your cards to it. It just, it's hard to recreate the same thing twice. So thinking about that and replayability, because I also have games on the shelf that I've played once and I don't know if I'll play them again. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, but I do know that every time I played this game, it's different, and that's kept me from getting bored with it too, which is nice. Because I've been dealing with this thing for 3 years.
For a couple of years, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So but then also I really are you guys familiar with the Buffy the Vampire Slayer game that Milton Bradley put out?
No, I didn't even know.
I've heard people talking about it on like some Facebook group, but no.
It's kind of hard to find now, but they were scenario based, there were card play, they had the moon phases for Oz to turn into a werewolf when this, you know, you would move this token around a moon phase dial. And one of the things that was cool about it was that people on forums were creating their own scenarios and posting them to a community page, right? So that was very appealing to me. I thought, why, you know what, there's a lot of storytellers out there and they just need a rich world with rich characters to build their own stories. And so my hope is that eventually people will start saying, hey, here's a game variant that I came up with, and start sharing it with people. So it just gives us variability. And quite honestly, I don't see, I mean, if we can fund and we can be popular and people start playing it and really digging it, there's no, I've already got ideas for a vampire world, for a troll world, for this. So it'd be other game boards that you would bring into play with new bosses and new, you know, new mugs for each of those worlds. So I guess I just wanted something that I can continually get money out of people from. No, wait, that's wrong. Wait a second. That's
too honest.
Yeah, being too honest. No, I
prefer honesty. Let's just call it what it is.
I mean, honestly, I just thought to myself, how can this game not be boring? How can this game continue to have life after the initial purchase?
Well, especially when you fall in love with a character, you know, like how can I keep Dex alive for so long? It's by making a story that's going to continue itself. It's just like when we play D&D, you know, I know it's a completely different kind of world, but like you create these characters and you fall in love with them. And so for me right now, I got our other podcast, but like my one favorite character I've made was Dee Dee. She's a tabaxi cat. And so like, I love her. She's great, ridiculous. But like now that we started a whole new world, I'm not her anymore. And it's like, I wish I could bring her back. You know, I wish she could be my person. So I appreciate the idea of like having a game that has playability for years, because there are games I look at and I'm kind of like, did I ever play these? No, I have not.
Right.
Well, some of them you just would hate.
I would hate, yeah.
I wasn't really interested in doing legacy kind of stuff. I mean, I love that Dice Thrones has now come out with Dice Thrones Adventures, where you use those components to do more of a dungeon crawl. Yeah, and that's cool. And you're doing that. And you know, I also have Gloomhaven that I've not even opened yet, and you know, just got a new game table. You know, so it's like, you know, where I can build it in there and put the thing back on top, so I can, you know, go on with my life. if I'm not playing it. But that, I didn't want it to be that either. I didn't want it to be, oh man, Dex, that's going to take 6 hours, you know. And you can play secretly you can play up to 8 players. But
I heard that in one of your convention videos.
Yeah, we watched the video.
You're
But
like,
it's
yeah,
going-
if you hate yourself.
if you have nothing but time on your hands, and never, we did that once with nobody, people had never played the game. And the biggest gateway to this game, is it is with anything with a lot of cards and a lot of character abilities, is learning those cards.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yes, we wrote exactly what they do on the card, but when you hire a mug, you got to kind of know what you want, you know, of the 26 mugs that you can choose from. You know, so there is a little bit of investment in learning those things to really make it run smooth. So, but if you had 8 people that knew the game really well, I think it would clip.
Yeah.
It hasn't yet. We haven't. So I just said, let's just make it 1 to 4, and people can discover that on their own, that yeah, you can play with more people.
Yeah.
You know, but you have to love.
You
those
cannot
people.
play with other people. We're married.
Oh. But the game says I can't play with myself.
Yes, you
That's
can always
true.
play with yourself. Yes.
Yeah.
Is that
We
for
have
every
no-
does every scenario have a solo mode, or are there certain ones? Or
I
how
mean,
does-
you know, I mean,
because like I know
could
some
say-
of them are competitive, you know.
Yeah.
EJ
I
likes
mean,
to play with himself.
I do.
I understand. If you have a split personality and don't mind playing, you know, as both teams, certainly. somebody actually in the stream today was asking that question. So, could I play any of these as a solo mode? I mean, yeah.
Mhm.
You know, I've played it. So when we play a 2-player game, we always play 2 characters each. You know, just for variability and that sort of thing. You don't have to, but we like to do that. So, but you could play both sides of that. So we have 2 solo / co-op scenarios.
Cool.
We have most of them are team based,
Mhm.
but we also have a really fun one that it's called Good Troll Hunting. And it's basically there are these troll characters that originally were just going to be gatekeepers between the 2 worlds, because that in the movie and musical, Dex uses his pal Lobo to distract these trolls under a bridge to get into Nightside, because they like cuddly animals. And so that was, the mechanic that came out of that was a badge that werewolves can give to mortals to cross the bridge unmolested. But if you didn't have that, then you would have to challenge the trolls to get across the bridge into the other side. And so we had these troll characters that were non-player characters. They were just these, you know, we had standees for them. We had these things with powers, but they didn't collect powers, and they didn't use, you know, there was just so many things they were restricted by. And one day we had already made all of the cards that we thought we were going to need for the game, and we were talking about the trolls, and I said we should do a scenario where the trolls are just destroying the city and everybody's trying to stop them, and so that you have one person playing the troll and anyone else that's plays as our Fair City people or whomever trying to stop these trolls, and the trolls will light fires and all sorts of crazy stuff that happen.
Nice.
But because the trolls were kind of underutilized, I was like, we should do something where the trolls are player characters and do a couple of things like that. And from that, then, because they don't draw cards in the way that everybody else does, we gave them their own deck of cards. So they're a troll thing. Now I let Cole, here, I'm going to give you a list of some ideas for cards, but all the artwork, I'm just going to give this to you, and I don't care what you do with it. Create whatever world you want for the trolls. And he created the troll world into being this secret society of like clerics and fighters, and they're like this amazing side, not just dirty trolls under a bridge. Turns out those trolls are the ones that are exiled from their society and are forced to guard these gateways between the worlds. This all came from Cole just wanting to have fun and just do whatever he wanted with the cards.
Yeah,
So that's pretty awesome.
You know,
that's nice.
yeah. So that kind of stuff kind of just evolved through time, and now the trolls you can use them as playable characters as well. They're pretty badass, so you want to do it sparingly. Yeah, so that kind of stuff just evolved over time, you know.
Yeah.
Now I have the Trolls music stuck in my head.
Oh, I'm sorry.
With JT.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
Mila Kunis?
Yep.
Anytime I hear any hip hop or not hip hop, but any sort of pop music, I instantly go, is that from Trolls? Is that from Trolls?
Well, what was Justin Timberlake's one song came out. Oh, it was on the radio. So he goes, "Oh, I know this song. This is from Trolls." And I'm just like, honey, this song is from before Trolls. Just so you know, Justin Timberlake was a part of a different band back in the day. And I blew her mind. Like, I was like, when I was your age, I was listening to him and I was like all team Justin, honey.
Well,
I know.
let me share a secret with you. One of my very, very good friends and an actress who is in a lot of our shows at Stageworks. She was on the Mickey Mouse Club with JT and all of them. And she decided to not follow that musical path, but to do other things. But when JT comes to town, they go to dinner.
Wow.
I'd never been invited.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, after this podcast interview,
everything's gonna change.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna be the same. Sorry. No. I can promise you nothing.
We really can't say we tried either, so
we're gonna try.
I mean, we
could tag Justin Timberlake, see what happens.
You never know. I've never tried either, honestly. So
Okay, so there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I feel kind of weird about it.
I'm like, hey JT, you're friends with my friend.
Come to our show. Hey JT, come to the show.
I really liked your work in Trolls. I want to hear you sing True Colors again.
Oh no, we'd be talking about Dick in a Box. That's what.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's it.
I like that. I also like Mother Lover. That's another good one.
Like a new song instead of a Dick in a Box. The just want that with a cool fedora.
We got
to match the theme.
We got Dex in a Box.
That's
Dex
right.
in a box.
So
That's it. Private Dick in a Box.
You better keep your privates in your box.
So you know what? I'm not even going to comment on that because it'll be way too dirty.
No, we'll let people comment later when they watch the video.
Yeah.
It was my adorableness with Angie that got our interview with John Garcia. Just saying.
That's true.
He said so. If it wasn't for Angie and me, where would you two be?
I don't know.
I think he was just doing a shout out because you're girls.
True.
You're never supposed to strip away the accomplishments of others.
That's
I mean, it's you can know it's bullshit, but you don't have to say it out loud.
Let me have this moment, Dan.
Okay.
I mean, he knows he gets it all
dealing
the time.
with our imposter syndrome. We're all dealing with it. I mean, I'm launching a game with a pretty hefty goal. First timer. I'm learning a lot from other people. I don't know if you guys know the game The Ghost Betwixt.
No, I haven't heard of that.
I'll give a shout out to Dustin Dustin here. He designed. I'm over here. He designed this game right here, and Cole actually did the artwork for it. And this is a really cool campaign game where you're a family looking for your child who's been stolen. Well, but in a haunted house. So it's not like,
so it's
not super nefarious like that, But on his first attempt,
I want it.
At his first attempt, he
I'm gonna find this online and buy
failed. Their campaign they had to cancel.
Yeah.
He had basically chapter 1 and chapter 2 combined, and it was a much larger goal.
Oh yeah.
And so they revamped, and he cut the game into 2 different chapters, and then succeeded on the second goal. So I had access to talking to him about kind of his experiences, and he was very cool about posting videos on YouTube around what not to do. And my biggest goal the first year was going to as many of the conventions as I could go to, just to play the game with people and try and accumulate emails and followers on the Kickstarter, pre-launch. And so I think even I think we got to 1,200 something right before we launched. Even at that, I felt like we needed more. I still had 400 other people on my website that had signed on. So I was just like, okay, we're just going to, but he said that he didn't have near as many followers when he launched. And so it was imperative, I thought, to get as many eyes on it as possible.
Yeah. So that leads to Another thing I wanted to ask is that you started in like, at least I saw on Facebook, like one of your earliest Facebook posts was January of 21, somewhere around there, and the board was just like paper with some grid lines on it and stuff like that.
Right.
And I saw mention of like fundraisers and stuff. So how did you get the word out that early, and like what were some of your early fundraising attempts to get like the components made?
I primarily, there wasn't, I think it wasn't until we started kind of trying to get the minis put together that I really started reaching out and asking people to help. Because they were like 350 euros each to design, which I didn't think was too expensive, but at that moment it was more than I had in my pocket.
For sure.
Yeah. And also I'd been paying, Cole artwork. I think there was one little push for some cards that I did with Facebook Live, and primarily most of those people, or Facebook ads, most of those people were people that I knew, so they were like, oh, we'll contribute to your adorable little project. I do find that when you tell people,
Grandma,
that,
can I have $27?
My grandmother's dead.
Oh.
But she would have given me $27 for sure.
Mine
one of the things
have.
One of mine would have.
But the thing that I find is you tell people, oh, I'm making a game, and they're like, oh, yeah. And then when I pull out my prototype, they would go, oh, that's a game. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, this is real.
I spent a lot of money on it.
Was.
And but that would keep me going, because I'm generally the kind of person that's like, hey, this is really fun. Wait a minute, this is becoming work. Let's make that thing over there. Squirrel. So this is a whole new thing to go from this creative piece into the monetary piece, and I'm nervous, but I am just standing on the shoulders of giants and learning from people who have done and try to avoid those mistakes. But
that's something that John had said too, was like Kickstarter really for the small person, it's changed. It's no longer that anymore.
Oh, he was saying that, Kickstarter used to be, you had a dream, people would help fund that dream, where now you have to have a final product, and then people pay for you to just make more of that final product.
It's true. Yeah. It's
so
true.
He was just talking about the frustrations of trying to succeed in a world where companies like Simon, like just use it as a pre-order service.
Right. Yeah, it is a disadvantage for us in that way. But I will say, I probably would have gone, just as I was saying earlier about my perfectionist nature and wanting to put all the little lock points on the game. I also wanted all my stuff to look amazing, right? So that when I pulled it out, people would be like, yeah, and I'd be like, yeah, we did that. So I mean, it is frustrating, because it would be cool, and the amount of money that we're asking for is there based on shipping and manufacturing and all those things that have gotten more and more expensive. Could have just made a card game. That maybe would have been a lot easier to do, but I wouldn't have been satisfied with that. So it's absolutely true. It used to be draw a picture, this is what I want to make, and people are like, that's cool, here's some cash. Not anymore. No, I think like I said, I think each of my prototypes costs just around $300 each to make. Thank God they don't manufacture for that amount. But
yeah, how about it?
We would not be having this conversation.
No.
Be like, how much is the pledge level? No.
I got kids to feed.
That's right. Yeah, rent or this game, I'm going with rent every time.
The mortgage, it's even higher.
Yeah.
Although if you're in California, never mind. Yeah,
I was gonna say it's better than California. It's still better than California.
The stories I heard about your rent out there. Oh boy,
God, ridiculous. My ex-wife and I were paying like $18.60 just for a 1 bedroom, 1 bath.
Wow.
Yeah, no, thank you. The Ghost Betwixt. Can you buy that anywhere? I was looking for it online.
Yeah.
It wasn't popping up on Amazon, so.
I don't know that it's there, but I think you can find it on Kickstarter still. Possibly.
It's still on Kickstarter. Okay, I saw it pop up. Yeah. Okay.
Or you can go to theghostbetwixt.com.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I found on Kickstarter. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because like that's what I'm really interested in. Like my favorite board game is Betrayal at House on the Hill. So,
yeah,
we have every copy of every version of it, I should say.
And he knows like there are board games that I hate playing because there's just too much. I'm like, I don't like setup time. That drives me nuts. That's why he does it all for me.
Right.
So I don't
Just
mind
tell me
card
this
games
right now,
because
it's
they go
fast.
faster. You know, I love card games. I love easy games like that.
Yep.
But Betrayal, that is one time where I don't care. Like I will go ahead and get all the pieces out.
Nice.
John Garcia, who we interviewed a couple weeks ago, and his game Table Golf Association just finished fulfilling. So he said the game looks amazing, and
Thank
he's
you, John.
and
Like
as a first game publisher, this is super polished. And what I tell people they need in order to compete, his stretch goals are interesting, only about $1,000 apart from each other. That usually they're bigger benchmarks, and he was wondering how you came up with those benchmarks there between the stretch goals.
I'll be honest with you, Cole presented those to me, and I didn't balk at it. I was like, okay.
You got this.
I think also, we knew that we had, for a first time publisher, we knew that 24,000 was, a lot to ask. And I think we wanted to add those at a much more achievable rate, so that people could get there a lot quicker. 3 people pledge above that amount and you get the next stretch goal, and those items aren't that expensive to manufacture and add to the game, quite honestly, so I didn't feel like we needed to soak anything for that. Now the minis, if we were gonna do the minis, it's $10,000 just to set up the mold to make minis. So I was like, I don't want to add that to the stretch goal or to the initial goal. We weren't really ready to do it anyway, but I thought that's another $10,000 ask is definitely going to put us into failure. So we figured, we'll see how the game goes, and if we get to a certain point in the backing where we are 10,000, 15,000 over what we were hoping to get, I will reconsider doing that, honestly, and make those available. But that was the initial thought, was let's make these super achievable, because who doesn't like extra stuff?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I love minis. That's the one thing I love about Betrayal.
And I've got all of these lovely little, these are the 3 expansion decks for the game, themed for one for vampires, one for werewolves, and one for mortals. And I'm super stoked for these. We did a little different design. This rubber band is unattractive. Hang on a second.
Gotta buy pretty colored ones, and it's okay.
I have black and I have clear. But we did a borderless card. So they, these expansions have no white border, and then they have their own little faction thing right there too. So that makes the Magic Gathering guy and me go.
That's really cool, because now it's a lot easier to differentiate them from the rest of your decks and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you can use these you can flip flop them in and out depending upon who your favorite character types are.
Yeah, just mix and match and everything. But that's really cool, because I know this one over here is very anal about putting everything in the right.
And car sleeves.
It depends.
That's just the right way to do it. Yeah. Okay. That's just the right way.
Like, okay, look, he got me an Alien card game, like from the Alien
Legendary
franchise.
Encounters.
Legendary. Encounters.
I've heard that's really fun.
Oh, it's
amazing.
Awesome. I had to break everything up into the movies.
Yep.
Like I had to. It wasn't like, oh, we can throw these in. No. Alien goes with Alien, and that's Aliens is over here. 7 years later.
So you have to organize it, yeah.
Well, that's just me, but I'm a huge movie buff.
Well, I like watching my husband at the table, because he'll go, today I'm going to put these cards in sleeves, and because it's like a snowy day or whatever, and he just sits there for hours putting cards in sleeves.
I've only done that for one game, and it's worth it.
Oh,
I just did that with Ascension. I just sat there and put
put a movie on and you sleeve.
Yep, and all the stretch goals and all the additional things I got with the dice thrones. I did the Marvel one, and I did that. So of course I got all the sleeves for that, and I just sat there and just put them in things. Yeah. So that, hopefully that answers John's question there.
Yeah, he had a couple others. One actually he echoed from someone who was reading over the Kickstarter, and he streamed it this morning. where he's like some pledges, and this guy on YouTube, I forget his name, Bauer something.
Yeah.
Where
he beat up on me today.
yeah, like
I mean, at the same time, saying really good things too. I think he's relatively fair. I mean, as I was watching our video, I was thinking, oh yeah, I did something completely different, and maybe it's a little long-winded, and you know, so
and see, I was there going, I like what's here because I see what I'm buying now. This is wonderful. Like I'm getting I like to see what I'm gonna put my money into.
Yeah. But anyway, so John was.
Oh yeah, so
sorry.
They said like with the stretch goals, they're like some pledges might feel that these things should be part of the base game already. I didn't see a problem with it personally.
We created them as add-ons as well, so if you don't want to, you know, you may get them because we're going to hit those stretch goals, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But if not, if there's one or the other that people want, if maybe somebody likes sleeves and sitting there watching a movie, putting them in cards in them, then they would pledge for that, or they would add that to their thing. We just try to make it as flexible as possible. You know, but and you definitely cannot please every single person.
Yeah, for sure.
Some people, you know, are like, oh, dials, that's a waste of, you know, space or whatever. So that's why the 3 different pledge levels, I think, is why we did it that way.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Well, for me, for the dials, it works in Gloomhaven. It definitely works in its sequel, Frosthaven. And I don't think it's going to be too hard to adapt it with this game either.
Yeah. And you'll still get your cardboard punch tokens, you know.
Yeah, I'll be using the token version.
You know
with
that. I'm gonna try and one up you on this one for once.
Go for the $100 one. The secondary pledge.
I'm gonna try and go for.
I'm just doing the base pledge. I can't.
Yeah, I know.
Unfortunately, I wish I could go more. I wish I could go more.
We have 3 children
you need $30
and a dog.
I will say,
then you're probably going to go for the pledge for the.
I was just gonna say, like, to have the dog written into the game. I love that. I love that goal. So, how does the artist feel about
that? Was possibly a lot of. He actually wanted to charge less for it, and I said, "Dude, you're crazy." So you know, but he's very fast and efficient, and I know when he did the creators piece for our page, and I saw me, he had me like as a the pipe. I looked like Leo in Don't Look Up. You know, I was like, I think he does a good job and is very flattering with that. But he feels like it's a cool add-on that's easy for him to do, and why not? You know, so I mean, it's not like I'm not going to have to pay him for it.
But hey, man, you suggested it.
That's right. Yeah.
The other question from John that I have here is he said he really has everything covered. Has he been part of other Kickstarter campaigns? I'd like to know who he coordinated shipping hubs in other continents with. Is he working with a different fulfillment center for each one? So what do you say about that?
I haven't landed on which one, but there are several that are kind of one-stop shops that cover all of it. So I'm leaning towards a couple of them right now, but I haven't fully landed on who's going to be the best team for that. I basically looked at games that were the same size as mine. I looked at I've shipped a few of these out, so I kind of knew what the cost of sending them was, and it really is, you're really just throwing a beanbag at a wall, hoping that you hit the fly. But we're gonna never heard that before, right?
No, I'm gonna use that.
I just made that up as we went. It's going to become part of the American lexicon.
Yes.
Very, very soon. But anyway, we try to get as close as possible, but nothing is charged until we get to that fulfillment time, because between now and 8 months to a year from now, that hopefully those prices will come down, and all of that. But we wanted to give people an idea of where it might land based on other games and current pricing.
Cool. All right.
That was a less satisfying answer, but I feel like I kind of got out of it.
I like it. Yeah.
Thanks.
So speaking of that kind of stuff in development and all that, have there been any challenges that have arisen yet, like before the Kickstarter, or anything you thought would be a big hurdle that was surprisingly easy to overcome?
Yeah, honestly, just not knowing what was going on in the convention world was one thing, and then all of a sudden people are reaching out and saying, hey, here's like discounts on this, and you want to share a table, and all of that kind of stuff. I really honestly didn't. I went to Dice Tower West, but I think I made the decision to go 7 days before the convention because it just kind of popped up and became easy. On that same kind of note, I was like very concerned about how am I going to find a manufacturer? What's the process with that? And you know what? You don't have to do anything. They constantly are sending me emails. Like, can we quote? Can we quote? Can we quote? We make this game. We make that game. We want to quote. And I'm like, this is fantastic, because now all I have to do is send them the parameters and I get quotes. And that's what I have done. So no, I was, apparently, I guess those companies, I guess they want to make games to make money for them.
What?
Whoa.
Yeah. So I
ridiculous.
really was surprised at how easy that process has been as far as just like making connections with people.
That's awesome.
But I think anyone who sees this game realizes too, there is a lot of playability and there's room for expansion. So it's going to be a moneymaker. There's no question.
Yeah. Even the guy on YouTube this morning, he's like, this game has potential. Like this game is, real. It's got good bones to it.
Yeah. So, he got excited when he would ask the questions, where's the components? And I'm yelling, scroll down.
This one right here got excited when his words were read out loud by him.
Yeah, because I'm there like typing in like, oh, it's he has this and this and this and so he'd read them out and be like, oh, okay, I get it now.
And
so,
PJ's like, that's me.
I was so glad you were there. I was so glad you were there because that other guy was just hammering on me.
I know.
The guy in the comments, this is stupid. He didn't say that, but I was just like, and I know being an artist and doing all of this that, again, you can't please everybody. Everyone has an opinion about something, whether it's that's not the right costume, or that doesn't make sense, or thematically it doesn't fit, or your game sucks and I hate it. That's going to be, some people are going to feel that way, and I just prepared myself for that and tried really hard not to react. And like, but you don't understand. Here's
no, you're a towel.
Some people will take the time to go. Like I found a French posting. I had to use Google Translate to figure out what they were saying, but they were talking about the game, and one of them was like, "This is a movie," and it's like, I think it's going to be dirty, because of the innuendos and stuff, and I was just laughing, and I didn't say anything. Another guy's like, "No, it was based on a movie, blah blah blah," So I was just like, "This is so fun to just kind of peek over, the shoulders of people and listen to what they have to say." But again, you can't take it personally because there are games I don't like. I just played Scythe the other day, and it's not that I didn't like it. I just was playing with someone who's very good at it, who was also a friend of mine from the past, who was very teasy. And it was like, we had already done a 4-hour gameplay session of some another friend's game and mine as some final play testing. So here we are playing this game, and I'm looking at my player board, and I just can't focus on any of it. It's like, wait a minute, how do I do that? Oh, it does have some icons here. I see those now. But it didn't take me very long to go, I don't know if I like this game or not. I don't know if I would play this again. And I think I would, because I think it was circumstantial. I'm not huge on Euros as it is, but I just don't think I'm educated enough on Euros to really make a decision.
That's one of my favorite games, and when I teach it, because I've played that game too many times to count at this point on my own, just solo, because again, no one will play with me. I have to play by myself.
I play with you.
I know you do. So, but when I teach people,
thank you, because I don't want to play with him anymore.
Yeah. So when I teach new people like Dan or other people, Owen, things like that, is I put that competitive side away, and I'll just start doing weird stuff. Like, I'll just start doing things that do not help my character at all. But I'm like, curious about, like, well, what if I just start messing around with these things over here, you know?
You're opening doors for people to succeed in that.
Exactly. Yeah.
At conventions, I would get hands of cards that I could just destroy people with, and I would not play them on purpose to not discourage them from enjoying the game. You know, that's another part of it. Learning a game like that, like you said, is super important to teach people. And teach them how to have fun doing it too. So like I said, I would play it again. I think it was circumstantial, but just, you know, I just say that by other people's experiences will dictate kind of where they like games. And, you know, I'll be honest with you, Board Game Co., Alex at Board Game Co., I sent him and I sent Quackalope, I sent them inquiries about getting videos. And Alex said, I'm bearing my soul here. I'm telling my big secrets. Alex said, he goes, I love how it looks, but I don't think I would like this game. And he said, he goes, I don't take payment for my reviews because I want to have my opinions and I don't want to have to, you know, paid preview and say nice things about something that maybe I don't love. Is there an earthquake? You guys okay?
I kicked the table.
It's PJ.
And so
I can't control him. I'm sorry.
I get it. I asked him, well, what is it about the game that you don't like? And he said it's your dice system. So at that point, we were just rolling 2 dice, adding modifiers for everything.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So he's like, I don't like it, even though we have cards and we have asymmetrical powers on the characters that affect their movement and affect those things. For him, that was just a clunky, old school Monopoly style of gameplay. It is a
turnoff for a lot of people. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's a turnoff. So when I took it to Dice Tower West and Mark Street, who did our preview, I saw him there and we sat down and played Dex in its original form. And he said, I love your game. He goes, but I'll be honest with you, Steve, I'm going to give it a preview and give it a very positive spin. But there will be somebody in the comments who's going to make a comment about these dice. And then with contempt prior to investigation, hundreds of piranha will jump on your game and talk about how crappy it is because of that function. And he said, so what? He goes, so, you know, can you think of another way to use, you know, to move the characters? I didn't want to do area movement, you know, and all that. Like I do like dice. I do enjoy that. But I understand the randomness of it is a turnoff. So I was thinking about it, and Cole happened to call me because we'd already been talking about it since I had gotten these emails from Quackalope and from Alex. And Cole's like, how do you feel about, I was thinking Bagpole, you know, like, Arkham Horror. And he said, how do you feel about setting up a retainer? So, or he didn't say retainer, that's the word I came up with it later when I themed it. He said, what if we rolled 5 dice at the beginning of our turn and then could choose how to allocate those dice for every turn? So some, you know, you say these 3 dice are my movement dice, you add your modifier and that's what you have.
Yeah.
And then this one activates this ability, and this one I'm going to hang on to for subsequent turns to defend myself or activate other abilities. And I was like, oh, I really like that, you know, because it gives agency to the player, right? Every turn, you get to change your strategy based on how other players are playing and on what your dice are rolled. And so Mark happened to be walking by my booth, and I said, Mark, what about blah, blah, blah? And he goes, that's elegant. I love it. Do it. So now, of course, if you see at the bottom of this card, you'll see a little dice thing. Now you have to assign a dice or dices. Is that a word? Or die?
Yeah. I like dices more.
Dices, yeah, to equal
English teacher here happy with dices.
Yeah. Dices is very nices.
That's right. So, I like it.
So you have to allocate from your retainer roll that die to activate that ability. So
and you activate it every time, right? Like every time you want to use it, you have to be able to activate it with the die.
Yeah, you can use them once per turn, basically. So, or round, because again, once you use it, basically you're putting that card on ice. And so
I love it.
So we had to redesign and redo every single card to take that into consideration, you know.
Yeah.
But when I let Alex at Board Game Co know that we changed that rule, he said, send it to me. So yeah, so I mean, that's the other thing too, is when I made a film, we'll talk about this, like I wrote a script. And when I wrote that script, my very first one, I'm like, when we make this movie, no one will change any lines of dialogue for them. Right?
This is art.
But when we made the movie, I'm as I'm directing the movie, I'm listening to the dialogue. I'm like, God, that writer of this is so verbose, you know? So then I started like making edits during the course of it, letting people ad lib. And then when I got done shooting it and I was in the editing room, I was like, why did the director shoot all this? You know, so again, you're killing babies as you go. Things that you thought were going to be so precious.
Mm-hmm.
And I came at it initially like being really precious about some of the mechanics and some of the stuff. But over the course of gameplay, over the course of you know, hearing people in the industry who know what the hell they're talking about, whether or not it's valid or not that the dice system sucks, I had to listen to that. In screenwriting, if somebody says something, I can kind of blow it off. But if two people say it, I change it. And so I applied those same principles to this.
I think it shows you're caring too for your future customers. Like, obviously, this is what you prefer, so let's go with what you prefer. It just shows you're caring.
I want the game to appeal to as many people as possible. Not everybody, obviously, because it's not going to, and it set yourself up for just disappointment if you think it is. But, you know, have I had moments when my ass got a little chapped by some comment that somebody has made? Today it happens, you know. You know, but
I wouldn't put a time on it, but maybe about 12 hours ago.
Like, maybe I need to edit that video, you know. You think about that stuff, and his first comment was, wow, this is a really different approach. And I was like, yeah, damn it, it is, you know. And some people, okay, it gets a little rule weedsy. I do agree, as I'm watching it going, maybe I have too many rules in here, you know. But the payoff of a werewolf pulling a knife on everybody and a girl in a slinky dress pulling a Tommy gun out of where?
I don't think we want to know.
Yeah.
I want to know. I need ideas.
Well, that was the look that I gave her at the end. I was like, where the hell did that come from? We only shot that 2 weekends ago.
Oh wow.
I was up against it trying to find time to do it, and I was like, oh geez, you know. And I came up with the idea, and I have a lot of filmmaking friends, and so they all gave their time. And the woman who did the makeup for the werewolf and the vampire, she worked on Grimm and works in LA a lot. The guy who came and ended up shooting it for me, he worked on Grimm as a compositor. And he and I used to work in Eugene together at a TV studio where we did a lot of commercials and things. So it was just like really nice to have them back. And actually the actors that you see in that, some of them are from the first video that we did 10 years ago. So for me, it was bringing my family back, you know, and just kind of doing something to, you know, a little bit of love.
If you need another actor, we have one right here.
Oh,
right,
nice.
This one right here. Yeah.
Can you
not
both
that
fly
one.
yourselves out on your own dime? And most of my people work for free. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
This is how
Well,
I
in
get
that
these
case,
things
take
made.
him because he doesn't have 3 kids.
I've done it before. I actually flew out back in, what was it, 2020?
Yeah.
Was it before or after
right.
COVID?
Yeah, it was just after COVID. So 2020 to do a film about DB Cooper and the Norjack case.
Okay, now this is getting weird. Okay, so my stepfather and mother owned the Ariel Store and Tavern in Ariel, Washington, which is where he supposedly landed. And every year we would do the DB Cooper party and fill the bar with people. And my stepdad does the song on the credits of that Treat Williams DB Cooper movie.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah.
So now he has to hire you. Wait, here, put on the fedora. See if you can be the next Dex.
Oh yeah.
Dan actually owns his own fedora. Fun fact.
He has his own fedora.
Yes.
I have several.
He has several himself
share.
too.
There we
Look
go.
at that.
Now we just need sunglasses and
Get your flask out. Be drunk. Be sad.
get your flask out. Be drunk and sad. I think that the last 2 sentences of that unnecessary. Just get your back out. I think
I chose my words wisely.
I think it even fits the suit right now. So
it's perfect. Perfect.
You need a tie here.
Kid. Get your ass on a plane.
My God, he did such amazing work.
I'm getting out there on that next plane. I see that dame, if she doesn't want me.
If you really want the part, you're going to leap out of the plane though before it lands. I'm just saying, life imitates art.
That's right.
I think
it's for the job.
I think
Dan.
I can still get a parachute, for my buddy. Just get one. Strap it on.
It's just one,
to work once.
as long as it works. We actually were all in I wouldn't say a film noir, but what was on that John Rymel wrote?
Oh my God.
It
was like a spoof off Clue.
It was a parody film noir. He wrote that for us when we were in college, and he wrote it all around me, because he would always see me coming in with new scripts every week and reading through them and like talking to myself. And he got the idea of
Dan was very annoying as an actor.
he got the idea of writing this whole thing about what was it? A novelist, a detective novelist who always comes up with the most convoluted ways that everything was solved, but he never writes anything himself. He dictates. And it was his secretary, who was played by PJ here, was always writing things down. And the best part of it was you didn't know if it was real or
if I existed or not.
Was completely in his imagination, because he was always like, no one would ever acknowledge PJ.
For most of the play
of Brick, that Jordan Levitt. Did you ever see the movie Brick?
I didn't see it, but I have heard.
Check it out, because it's a film noir that takes place in a high school. So he's not a detective; he's just a high school student. But he has a running dialogue in his head, and he has other characters that you're not sure are real or if they're his imagination.
Yes.
Instead of there being a cop beating him down as a detective, it's the principal of the school.
Nice.
And the drama kids are, it's a very cool film noir take.
You weren't allowed to talk to Peach like on stage, like you were not.
I was rarely on stage too, and so when I wouldn't even be on
You're
stage
on a wing
sometimes.
Only. You're on the wing.
Yeah, I wouldn't be on stage sometimes, and his character would be like, "Take this down," and just talking to no one.
Take it down, and everybody in the room, because my character got hired to actually solve a case. Everybody who's in this mansion is going, "What the hell is wrong with this guy?" Take this down. This is what happened. And
I really enjoyed that play because I had to play this like ditz who was always drunk. I had so much fun.
Yeah.
Although on opening night, I had to like pretend I was like really drinking at the bar they had set up, and so we had bottles of like apple champagne, like just that bubbly apple stuff. And cider. So I go to drink it, and I haven't had like drinks out of a bottle ever because I was not that kind of a college kid. Like I was a good girl. I drove home every night. I didn't live on campus, so I didn't realize that when you drink out of a bottle, like there's fizz and like it can go up your nose and all over because of the pressure in the bottle. So I drink and there's just all this stuff that comes flying at me. It goes down my dress and I'm just like trying not to cough because I'm on like the right wing, holding this bottle, pretending while I was going and I'd like turn my back to that. I'm just like a little bit.
Nice.
Oh, fun time.
That was a good time.
And Jack got to carry a sausage.
Oh, the sausage. I forgot about that.
Brendan, this is like not helpful at all for this
No,
interview,
it's not. No.
Memory lane.
I do want to say, in terms of the proof of concept video, my absolute favorite gag that you had, and when I first saw the video, I brought Dan over, I brought Shannon over to him, like, you gotta see this bit, where you spit the drink all
I loved it. That was so great.
And she's soaking wet, and then she just like powders her face and boom, dry.
Yeah. I wanted to play with all those tropes. The thing that you probably didn't notice, and you should go back and watch for at that same exact moment, try not to laugh, but when she closes the compact after doing this, she closes it, you'll hear squeak, like it's filled with water. That to me was my favorite little bit. Just throw it in. It's quick.
I'll have to watch that again. I like the caught with my pants down. That whole thing was great.
I'll just say that for the narration.
Right.
I watched that.
I can't believe it holds up as well as it does after almost 12 years. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
that was. Of course, I've lost like 40 pounds from then. I always tell people I'm smuggling squirrels in my mouth that are also smuggling nuts.
Yeah.
So there's, yeah. But I did want him to be a detective at the beginning of the end of his career. That was kind of always the thing. He's a failure, you know, and all of that.
Yeah.
So I figured I'm fat and stupid. I can play this part, you know.
Well, I saw that as soon as I saw that bit, I turned to PJ and said, "That's the part I want." Like, that's the perfect part for me.
What's funny is I watch and I go, PJ, why didn't this guy meet Dan earlier? Dan would do so well acting with this guy. Like, it wasn't even a question. I was like, Dan needs to meet this guy.
I guess we're going to be starting our own podcast soon.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah.
Why not?
We get him on Fridays. We get him on Fridays.
You know, I've always wanted to do radio shows.
You have things for radio.
I have written radio programs with Dex scripts in mind.
I love radio film.
Trying to think where one of them is. I could probably just share it to you guys later, but it's we basically had everybody come in and just read it raw, and oh my god, we left every single mistake in, every side comment, every joke, and I thought this would be so fun to do, and then clean it, then do another version that's clean and release both.
Yeah,
so that people can hear all the really bad ball jokes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Things like that came up, you know.
The things that I appreciate.
Well,
true art.
I've been doing stuff like that for a while. My buddy, he's just got a job as a truck driver now, but he had this whole thing where he wanted to do a new genre for like every episode, and the one he had was
a continuing story.
Yeah, no, it'd be a completely different story.
Oh,
like, he would go back to it.
More fun to keep the story the same and change the genre.
But like he would go back to it later. But the one character he wanted was Dick Daring, man of the 20th century. And it'd be like a radio show from the 30s and 40s, and the far distant future was the 90s.
Nice.
Far distant future.
And one of the characters.
That's why they wrote him, yeah.
Yeah, and one of the characters he had written for me was, what was his name? Professor Doctor. That was his name.
I love that name. I'm stealing that.
So the whole thing is he would come in and he would change himself into a different animal every time we'd revisit it. And it'd be like, hey Dick, come here, take a look. Professor, what did you do? I'm a cat. Why did you do that? Because look at this. Hey, Misty. Oh my goodness, kitty. Yes, pick me up. Purr. Yeah. This was amazing. And just stupid little things like that. Another one. Why'd you turn yourself into a bear? Because have you seen the size of my paws?
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Professor Doctor. Although PJ wanted to name our youngest child Detective.
Yes.
I like it.
First day of kindergarten. Detective Hayden, where are you? Here.
I was going to name, if I had a daughter, I was going to name her Ima. I'm a Coker.
I'm a Coker.
Yeah. I have a friend whose name is Tim Junie, and he wanted to name his child April May Junie.
Excellent. Yes.
Is mean. That's just mean.
That's all right. You don't want to know what my dad wanted to call me.
I want to know what your dad did call you.
Many things.
I didn't hear dumbass as much as I should
actually.
have. My dad wanted to call me Peter Paul, so all the boys could call me Pee-Pee. My brothers are assholes.
I love it.
Well, this game has PP in it. The PowerPoint.
It does, yeah.
Oh, that's
PowerPoint.
true.
But,
That's
they're
true.
PowerPoint, so you know, I didn't take it that far.
That's all right, because I'm gonna get this game and I'm gonna say I'm gonna whip out my pee-pee now.
You get to play with his pee-pee.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone's fiddling with my PP.
Yeah.
Gotta be careful though.
PP all over the board.
Oh,
Make sure they wash their hands first.
Oh, definitely. Or after.
Both, preferably.
Right on.
Only I can play with your pee-pee.
Okay.
Okay, put it back in the box.
It's like he's learning the rules.
But
like,
I'm gonna be
right
in a little over a year, I'll be playing with his PP. So
As long as it's only his pee-pee.
as long
That's
as I can afford to make an extra PP for you.
I've already played with John Garcia's balls, so you can play with his pee-pee. It's fine.
There you go. There you go.
So
you're welcome, Dan. You know, as we're sitting here, I want to say, since you're an actor, Dan, come closer
How
to
dare
the
you?
Yes. I still say that Dan is our Nathan Fillion lookalike. A young Nathan Fillion lookalike.
When I was in college, I looked a lot better.
Yeah, we don't know what happened to him now.
He used to dress up as Captain Hammer.
I did for Halloween.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was great. And he would sing the songs too.
Corporate tool.
Of course.
That's right.
So back to the game here.
All these
So
references makes me happy.
I know, I love it.
Nerds,
So you
we're all
have
nerds.
you have expansions, like ideas in your head and everything.
Yeah.
You've also had ideas for like comics and things like that. So obviously, still wanting to keep Dex alive, which is awesome.
Definitely. Yeah.
If the game gains traction, are you considering shopping around the script again and everything?
I'm maybe I would love to just make it myself. It'd be cool to be able to just, when we get together, that was an escape room that we shot at. And as soon as I'm in, the fireplace is the same fireplace from the original shoot. These guys then built an escape room and kept it. But every time I'm in there, I'm like, could just come in and start just filming episodes, but that's not really the reality of it. I can only use my come and help me for very little money or free many times before people start realizing how cheap I am. And not having good scripts and stuff is not an excuse for being a cheap ass. So yeah, possibly. I'm actually more interested in taking the Varsity Cheerleader Werewolves from Outer Space IP.
I love that trailer, by the way.
And thank you.
Ridiculous.
And creating a game with that. I've already built the prototype. I just haven't done the cards yet. All the cards. It's going to be a tile laying game that the first floor of the high school you build, and you populate the tiles with different items that you would find in a high school, and those you can apply to your popularity. And then when you go upstairs, that's when the invasion happens, and the second half of the game is survival, and your popularity points turn into life points, and your objects become weaponized. So that's kind of the concept for that one, and I'm very excited to get working on it. But I'm only willing to work on it so much until I know if we're gonna fund this thing, because not that I won't continue to do it, but eventually my thought too is, and having worked with Cole and worked with my friend Joey, who is also a game designer who hasn't published, their stories of publishers are, hey, I really like your game. It's about it's basically a driving in the wastelands kind of gathering resources game. We really dig it. We really like it. We're going to reskin it though. We want to do it as a reforestation game, or I made that one up. And they want to get another artist on it. Well, this is an artist who created this game, and it's his art in the game. And so I hear a lot of stories about that, and I would love to become a kind of a smaller publisher that tries to honor the integrity of the game being brought to you, and saying, okay, this is the game, and if I have mechanisms or notes about gameplay, I'd be more likely to give those, and then but be there to be able to help these publishers actually publish the game that they want to publish. So my hope is that I can create this Dexiverse development, or whatever it ends up becoming, for that purpose.
That's awesome. That's a great idea. I love that.
I understand. I hear you completely. But no, I mean, and those are really, really great aspirations, because you're doing what you love, and you're helping everybody else do what they want to do too. And we hear a lot of people who say they want to do this, and then nothing ever comes of it. So if you can do it, that's awesome. More power to you.
I'm not promising that nothing will come of it, because it could. Nothing could possibly come of this, but everything really hinges on this success of this game right now. I mean, and then if we have to cancel and do it again, learning lessons. I'm not going to not do it again.
Right.
So eventually that will happen, but I'd rather do it right now. Let's just do it now. It's
easier. Let's get it done.
Just get it done. Let's just do it now. It just makes more sense.
Oh yeah.
You know, I think by the end of, hopefully by tomorrow morning we'll be a quarter of the way there, and I don't feel
That'd be great.
bad for a non-entity publisher with an unknown IP.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think I'd feel pretty good about it. So I'm not gonna panic and get all weird about it. I'm just gonna keep going, and we're gonna throw some gameplay videos up and keep sharing stuff. We'll go in depth on the characters for our updates. You know, like, this is Dex, and he likes to drink Kentucky Lightning whiskey, and you know, his favorite food is, I think what I said his favorite food is something someone else made for me, except fish. If you bring me fish, there's going to be a fight. You know? We'll throw some color into it, you know, and just have some fun with it.
He only has one good pair of pants.
Yeah, that's an old joke. That's an old joke. These suits used to be made really cheaply, so they always came with an extra pair of pants. So that was what that joke was, and a lot of people don't know that. I'm 54 years old. Okay, I'm sorry. I know some old stuff.
I'm 36. I'm the oldest one here at this table right now.
Yeah, for a couple more days.
Yeah.
And I know an awful lot of old stuff, and people look at me like I'm crazy, which you're not wrong.
Yeah, there it is. I saw you right away. I recognized you.
It was the
See, that's called a callback. Never mind. This man's playing a joke.
I need to leave now. Bye.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna get along just.
Told you. As soon as I
right?
watched it, I'm like, oh my god, this guy is Dan's best friend. That's the first thing I said, wasn't it?
Yep.
First thing I said.
Don't get too clingy, okay?
He gets very clingy.
Yeah.
Oh,
And once he clings, he never leaves. It's just like static electricity. It's always there.
it's like a McDonald's hamburger wrapper against a chain link fence.
Yep.
That's right. Never leave.
It's never gonna go.
But at least he brings Angie with him, and that's okay. Because then Angie and I get to snuggle on the couch and like watch TV while these guys play board games, and it's a nice little night off for all of us, really.
Right.
It's a good time. It's a good time. Do you have any questions for us? Any or anything you would like to add to the listeners or for the viewers too on YouTube?
I just want to say, like, this is cool because I like being able to just have a conversation with people. It's like, I never felt like I had to sell the game. I felt like we were having a conversation around the game.
Yeah.
So I would encourage other people to find you guys, and I will definitely be promoting you.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it.
We're gonna be spreading the word about you on our stuff too.
We try. We try to dress up too for you people. So
I appreciate that. Yeah, and don't forget that. I also just want to throw out Cole Monroe Chitty as far as an artist goes. You couldn't hire a better one. He's worked on tons of games. Ghost Betwixt. There's another one coming out. I think it's called GAQ. It's a quest adventure game that's coming out pretty soon. And he work on that. Yeah, it looks really cool. Nice. So I think that just funded. But yeah, so if you can, don't use him too much because I might need him again, but give him as much work as possible, because the guy he's very good. He's very good.
As
not just
illustrated
art,
by the
graphic design as well. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he did all the graphic design for everything too. So he's not going to do the character work for Varsity, but he is going to do all of the card layouts and all of the object sketches and things like that. Cool. We're gonna find another artist for the Varsity one because it's the 80s homage, and we're going to do the can't wait to do the transparent.
So excited.
The transparent standees. So perfect for that game.
Love it.
But yeah, we're just thanks for reaching out. I appreciate that so much. And you never know.
I do have one question for you. Well, one more comment. Is there anything that you would suggest to our listeners / viewers about using Kickstarter, like best laid plans for it?
Yeah,
things you've learned.
Things you learned.
We had the conversation because GameFound came out as a funding platform around the time we were starting to talk about funding. And I think we decided to go with Kickstarter mostly because it's already a very established entity. And I would say the smartest thing to do is to just realize that you have to think about the end result and take into account that you're going to give 5 to 8% to Kickstarter. and then all the taxes that are going to come out before you get to manufacturing and shipping and all of that stuff. So Kickstarter has a pretty good platform that lays things out for you as you're building your campaign, to kind of look at, hey, have you thought of this? Here are some articles that you should read and that kind of thing. GameFound, I think, is really it's new, and so they're not super new because they've been a fulfillment company for a long time, so they have that behind them. But I think I think this first year of them doing it, we're gonna learn a lot, about what it is. I think they have some really cool things about it that Kickstarter could utilize, like allowing. I would love to have put more information out earlier, instead of just one card, and then give people the ability to ask questions, or for you to send updates to those people who have signed up, which GameFound does allow. So I think in that sense, it's cool. I also like the idea around Kickstarter that you have to achieve your goal. It's not wishy-washy in that way. Where, like GoFundMe or Indiegogo, you can just raise part of it. If you just raise part of it, you're never going to make the game. And so those people just gave you money that's for nothing. Whereas these folks, we reach that goal, then the aim is that you've raised enough money to actually get it made. So that would be my 2 cents worth.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So we're just super grateful for you to come on. We wish you the best of luck with this.
Thank you.
With this Kickstarter.
Appreciate it.
And with all of your musicals.
Yes, and with the musicals.
He's looking for a job. He's right there.
I did discover that Dex is a worse singer than me, though. When we were writing this last bunch of songs, I'm like, he doesn't sing super well.
Man, this Dex guy, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. We should recast. Right on. Well, thanks, you guys.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
You too.
Yes, take care.
Afternoon, I guess, for him, huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm 3 hours earlier.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go obsess about my Kickstarter campaign, but whatever.
I'm gonna go to bed because I have COVID and I'm tired.
So, go get well. Get well.
I will be pledging. I'll be putting my money in, and if I can swing it, I'm gonna go for that. The biggest package I can.
The big one. Ooh.
Yeah.
The big fatty, we call that one.
The big fatty. I like it.
Better be called that. What else would you call it?
Yeah.
Right? You're gonna love it. When the average pledge won't do.
Oh my gosh.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Yes, it was a pleasure. Take care.